Welcome to the BackPageLead, and we welcome back Wayne Carey, who's been in the land of the prawn cracker in Hong Kong for a week. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Very well. A bit of a sad day in the AFL world. Port Adelaide having a press conference as we speak, announcing the fact that one of their players, John McCarthy, has died in a Las Vegas hotel in the last 24 hours, which is obviously a shocking thing. We won't dwell on it too much other than to say that footy clubs are like families, aren't they? And this will really devastate the club.
Oh, definitely, and condolences obviously to his family and friends, and like you said, the whole football world really are mourning the loss of one of their own. It's very sad. Like you said, Charlie, you don't know the circumstances, and irrespective of the circumstances, it's just very sad for everyone concerned.
You had nothing to do with the player, John?
No, I didn't know John. He obviously spent time at Collingwood,
yep.
And then I think he played 39 games for Port Adelaide, and obviously still a young man, so very sad.
22 years old. And it's not as if Port Adelaide need any more bad news either, do they? They've had a terrible time the last year or two.
Look, it's been a tough year, not certainly. You know, like I said, condolences to the family and the other players. Obviously, over there, from what I heard from the press conference, we'll be heading home as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first weekend of the finals. Slightly more bright news.
For some.
For some, that's true. Our boys, we won't even talk about that. Fremantle, though, they provided the shock of the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, look, I've said a number of times now, and I said on radio yesterday that not too often, you know, teams and players make coaches. It's not the other way around. There's only some coaches, I think, in the history of our game, and in our game right now, that make teams better. And I think Ross Lyon's one of those. I really do. I think Ross Lyon's made Fremantle better. Yeah. They've won their first final against last year's premiers in what was just, you know, unbelievable football, and a great first quarter against a side that only 5-6 weeks ago played the best quarter of footy that I've seen for the whole year against Hawthorn. Yeah. So, you know, and they upset the Kangaroos at Etihad Stadium when the Kangaroos were hotter than anyone in the comp. I mean, just a remarkable effort from Ross, and obviously the players to buy in on that, and a big tick to their captain in Matthew Pavlich, who some have had doubt about in terms of big games. Not that they've played in too many big games, and they haven't played in too many finals for him to perform, but he certainly performed on the big stage, and when there needed to be a goal kicked, he kicked it, and that's what good captains and champion players do. And I think that you know, now that he's actually done it on that stage, you know, you'd hope that any criticism of Matthew Pavlich is now squashed, Charlie, because that was just a magnificent individual performance and fantastic win.
But Ross Lyon, just getting back to him, has given that team a bit of steel, hasn't he? Because they were traditionally seen as, if not seen as soft, they certainly played soft. They underperformed for years. He's got Ballantyne and Zach Dawson and Ryan Crowley. These blokes don't mind a bit of niggle and taking it up to the opponents, do they?
Yeah, you mentioned too that I'm not so sure about Zach, but he's got to run around in the shower to get wet, Charlie.
He got a vote, didn't he?
He did. He played a good game.
Played very well.
Not sure he's got too much of that what you thought he had, but anyway.
Crowley and Ballantyne.
Yes, certainly. And look, what Ross has been able to do is close. You know, he can play a style of footy that negates the side, and that's probably one area that Collingwood this year haven't been able to do, Charlie.
True.
You know, you look at Sydney, who we've given no credit to, especially you, Charlie, all year, yet they've been sitting near the top of the ladder. They've got the best defence in the comp. They're flying along, and like Fremantle, they have the ability to just close you down and play good team footy.
Yep. So Sydney and Freo play a very similar style, as you say, and it's no
I don't know whether it's
Lyon.
Similar.
You don't think
it's I don't know. I'm not so sure that it's similar, but Lyon being under obviously Roos, and you know they just have that ability, and they look. There were criticism of them early, and they played ugly footy. Well, at the end of the day, when you're playing finals and you're winning, no one cares about how you win, and we saw that again with Sydney again on the weekend. You know, low scoring game, but they had a very good win, and they marched straight into a preliminary final. It's just been an awesome effort by them, and as I said, also by Freo. And then, you know, what an opportunity to Fremantle have got to go into a preliminary final against, you know, beating a side that, you know, many thought may have been exaggerated, so to speak, because of their draw. Well, if they go out in straight sets, those people may be right.
You're talking about Adelaide.
I'm talking about Adelaide, but I've got a sneaky feeling though, and I've been pumping Fremantle up. I've got a sneaky feeling though that Adelaide might pinch this one, Charlie.
Well, I'm going to get your tips in a minute. Let's just look at the other finals, the qualifying and the elimination finals chronologically. Collingwood and Hawthorn got things off. Pretty willing affair to start with, wasn't it?
Oh, it was exactly what you want in a finals game of footy. I mean, that first, it just goes to show you the different level in intensity and pressure, and the way the players go about their footy. It was really good to watch. Really good to watch.
You liked the Tarrant and Buddy stuff.
I loved it. I loved the whole contest. The start of the game was just awesome, and I thought that you know, Hawthorn, you know, like I said, and I think we've said all year. They've been premiership favourites now for the last, say, 7 or 8 weeks, but there's been different premiership favourites all year. This was another real acid test for them when the expectation was there for them to win that game, and they did exactly that. So, you know, they're certainly the team to beat. There's no question.
Interestingly, they were $1.85 before the Geelong Freo game, and as a result of Geelong getting beaten, they firmed into $1.70.
Well, I reckon there'd be one. I reckon there'd be one team that's very happy that Geelong's not going any further, and that'd be Hawthorn. That's their bogey team, so to speak.
Yes,
so
exactly.
they'd be very happy that they're out.
Exactly. Let's talk about the match review panel just quickly, because Collingwood's hopes in week 2 of the finals and the semi-finals really hinge on what happens to Nick Maxwell and Chris Tarrant. I mean, they don't hinge on it, but I mean, if they lose those 2 players, it makes it awfully hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and you just hope that common sense prevails. You know, I can't
let them off.
Well, you can't sit here with any confidence and say they'll get off or they'll get weeks, because it's just been so inconsistent all year.
Yep.
It's been the one thing that I think has frustrated us all. So I'm not prepared to give you a prediction on it, Charlie, because I don't think any of my predictions in terms of the match review panel have been right all year.
No, but you're a player's man, and you don't
man.
think they should be rewarded.
Well, I don't think there's too much. There's not too much.
You might
in
say
it.
that.
And I would hope that they're both playing next week.
This is a subject that grieves me terribly to address, but North Melbourne's insipid performance against West Coast. What do you read into that? Just let me give you a stat first. Like, the last 8 finals they've played, they've won 2 of them. Their average losing margin in the 6 they've lost is 78 points. How does that happen?
Oh, look, I think it shows that where the Kangaroos finish is probably about where they're at, and the difference between the 2 sides. You know, and I think they were spent, to be honest, Charlie. I think their second half of the year was very good. They looked slower. West Coast looked a lot stronger in the contest. They won the one-on-one contests all the time. I think they probably had 3 or 4 winners on the day. So you can't win a game of footy when you've only got 3 or 4 winners. West Coast just looked a very powerful unit. When they've got 29-degree day, and you look down into that forward line and see the way they lined up at the start of the game, the Kangaroos were in trouble before that ball was bounced. And Natanui and Cox, although the Kangaroos did very well out of centre clearances and also clearances full stop, they just when West Coast get it, it is just so clean and so crisp. And like I said, their big forwards just were too big and too strong for the Kangaroos, and like I said, they just look flat and slow. Not fat and slow, flat and slow.
So should Brad Scott be given a pass for the year? I mean, should North fans feel some sort of satisfaction?
Look, you don't want to finish like that, and that'll stick with them over the whole of the summer. But I think all in all, to have 14 wins for the year. You know, they got beaten by West Coast and Tassie, a game they should have won. We remember the Port Adelaide game that they were up by a lot, should have won. So, you know, they could have easily had 16 wins in the home and away, the Kangas. That didn't happen. They'll be remembered for this game, and that'll stand them in good stead for next year, because that'll burn inside them. Sometimes that can be a good thing. They are still a very young side, so we have to remember that. They do have to get stronger. And that was proven yesterday against West Coast.
And Carey, thank you again for your insights, and we look forward to getting your predictions in part 2 of the weekly BPL Vidcast.
Thanks, Charlie.